always like to I like to wake up in the morning and think that the fact that I woke up was a promise that God gave me. Now, just because somebody don't wake up don't mean God didn't fulfill his promise. But for me, I just know that I've always known that my voice was supposed to mean more than um, my voice was supposed to been out to the world. My voice was supposed to been something that God used to reach people, to bring people together, to like be a connector of peoples and situations. Because I always try to explain to people, I look at the universal human experience more so now than anything else. I think firmly that the differences that we try to maximize amongst people are over exaggerated, right? We got more in common than we have things that we don't have in common. Even when you find somebody who you call a real eccentric or weirdo, you understand that you have to be thankful of the fact that you're going to run across people who you think are weird or outside of the box. And I say that because without people doing extreme things or being extreme or what you might call extreme, right? You would never know the limits of what freedom feels like, if that makes sense, right? People who are genuinely doing them, living in their truth, there's a certain freedom in that, whether you agree with it or not. That's one of the most liberating things, being able to say, you know, I don't give a shit what nobody talking about. I'm going to live my truth. This story here would take you to G.R. Cotton facility in Jackson. We were doing a lot of business on the yard, right? A lot of business with store operations, with and it wasn't just one particular group. It was a lot of groups, right? A lot of people involved in this bag that came down, right? So you got to think without saying too much, because a lot of times when I pause, it's like me trying not to say too much because you still got people involved in situations, still incarcerated, trying to get home. So I keep a lot of people nameless, right? So when you think about all of these different prominent dudes, right, on the yard, you think about the fact that some of them may never go home. You understand why they go at the bag the way they do, why they shoot at CO females the way they do, why they always trying to knock a female. They always trying to find a play or get in position because that's all they got. So when we out here on the yard and we moving and we got the elders or the OGs telling us like, hey, I need you to go holler at dog. I need you to go holler at this individual. Whatnot. When it was business and it was clean, that was one thing. You can deal with whoever you want to. So like, for example, Melanic Doctrine with Melanic Islamic Palace of the Rising Sun, I was a member of, right? When I was in Melanic, I ain't gonna say when I was in Melanic, when I was a rotate Melanic, 'cause I'm gonna always be a Melanic. When I was a rotate Melanic and in prison, we had a doctrine that you had to abide by that I firmly understood it. And it says that no brother should knowingly socialize or associate with a known homosexual or informant, right? And that was for a reason. That was for a reason, of course, because you in them situations where men compromise what they say they believe in. They'll compromise their moral stance, right? They'll compromise what they say they're about because they're in prison. They'll let the beast side of them come out. They'll let the savage side of them be exposed. If they ever had any type of homosexual thoughts, fantasies, feelings, or urges, a lot of them get acted out in prison. And they call it gay for the stay. You understand? And it's like, if you gay, bro, you gay. Ain't just for the stay. If it's always been in you and you just found your lane when you got to prison, then just express that and live in your truth. Because like Michigan was different than a lot of states. Like snitches and gays wasn't getting brutalized and butchered and whatnot at a certain point like they were in other places. They were almost more protected. The pedophiles and and I'm speaking from a level of people who messy. You got a lot of gay dudes now who start a lot of shit, be hopping from dude to dude, right? Getting shit started. This is not what we talking about. We talking about the differences of like whatever somebody believe in, whatever their sexual orientation was. We was like, whatever. If it's business, we gonna do that business. This particular day, I get introduced to an individual, third party, through a brother, Sydney X. Sydney X said, "Hey, Miss Ann wanna I don't know what it was. I forget what the amount. It was something that they need. This individual needed to borrow from one of our stores. So, and I'm not saying Miss Ann wasn't a hustler. Miss Ann was a hustler in his own right. And Miss Ann was a transgender dude. Anybody who did time in probably the 80s and the 90s and maybe even the 2000s may have ran across Miss Ann. Miss Ann had real big face and cheeks from getting, I'm assuming, injections, right? Had hips and butt, you feel me? You know what I'm saying? Pause. But, and I want to say had breast or something going on up there that, but still had working man parts. I'm assuming because, he was still in the man prison, or she, I don't want to disrespect, this individual's sexual orientation or whatever, but so when he said Miss Ann, I said, Miss Ann? Who is Miss Ann? He's like, go out there on the back 40. You're going to see whoop, whoop, and describe this individual to a T. I go out there, and as I'm walking, I'm looking, because I'm like, the way he described was so specific and distinct, I can't miss this person. So I slide around the baseball court, the baseball diamond. You know I don't play sports, right? I slide around the baseball diamond, and I see Miss Ann. And I guess they had already been, he had already been hip to the fact that I was coming. Like Ken X, I'm like, yeah, that's me. All right, listen, I'm gonna need this, I'm gonna need that, I'm gonna need this, I'm gonna need that. What you call said I said, all right, cool. I'm flabbergasted though. I'm like, cool. I know the mission. I understand the assignment. I'm on it, right? But it's the first time I've ever saw face to face a transgender person. Right? This is my first experience. I done seen gay dudes in Cass Park in downtown Detroit and in the corridors probably since I was little. And we thought gay bashing and beating up gay people was cool. Back then you called them sissies and fags and punks, right? Nowadays you say that you're going to get bashed upside the head by somebody, or the LGBTQ community is on you, right? For some reason or another. And I understand why, but back in those days that was the norm. We didn't know. We didn't really get it because the big homies would say, "Man, this is such and such." Bop, bop, bop. If you moved weird or whatever, it was against the rules. It was against the norms. We was on your ass. I'm sorry. That was just how we moved. That's how we played things. So I'm just a little flabbergasted because I just met this individual that's built like a woman in prison. I just been down, man. Listen, I've been down probably a year and a half, maybe a year. About a year and a half, right? So I ain't no rookie to this, but because I've been moving a lot and I've been active. I was a yard baby. I stayed on the yard. However, this right here was unique and new to me. I wasn't, I still was like, dog. And I had to question the brothers about that doctrine. Like, I thought we weren't supposed to be socializing or associating. Well, first of all, that's socializing. You ain't socializing. You ain't hanging out, and you ain't associating. Like, you clicked up and nothing. What you're doing is you're doing the transaction, the business transactions. That's it. It's the same thing as if you had a store on the street. You can't tell nobody to get up out of there. Don't mean you got to hang with them or have drinks with them at the bar, right? I'm like, yeah, it makes sense, but whatever. I'm just saying. I'm just trying to make sure I'm within law. I'm standing on law, first of all. And second of all, it's just like, dog, I ain't never seen nobody like that, bro. I ain't never met nobody like that. So, come on, give me a little leeway. I understand that this is new to me. And then this thing, I don't know how long Miss Ann had been on the yard. I had never took notice. Probably because it wasn't on my radar. It wasn't what I was looking for, but I had not took notice. And so when I see this individual, I'm like, this is deep. This is something that really, really blew my wig, but it opened my mind to the differences in how people are and to accept differences, It opened my mind to Like, you have to be tolerant of people. You have to be accepting of people and their differences. And then you thinking like we met on as far as a business transaction on a business level. So just to think, men who are heterosexual and dominant, right? The ones who are the breadwinners, the ones who are the gunslangers, the ones who are taking over things and conquering shit. It will have you believe that these are the only people who have value and who deserve optimal respect. It kind of F's your mind up a little bit because, like I said before, that's all we knew growing up. You bash people, you hit them upside the head. If they was different, you didn't tolerate them. That tolerance that I learned dealing with Miss Ann took me far. Because to this day, even then, me and Miss Ann and the people that we dealt with, we did a lot of business together. Miss Ann brought a lot of business because a lot of people didn't want to deal with the transgenders and the gays in prison. But when it came to that bag and getting that money up, we didn't discriminate who we did business with because we didn't care about your personal business, what you did in the bedroom. And I think that among especially the urban and the black communities, right? Some of the top problems is that we get too involved in people's business, their personal affairs, rather when it comes to business. Now, if your personal affairs morally, right, you really like if you're doing something that's harmful, you into things like say child trafficking or something, child pornography, anything that's really below the belt when it comes to human behavior, then that's different. But when you got an upstanding person, a good person, somebody who on the spiritual level, they decent. They just have a gender identification that's different than yours. They identify different than you. They move different than you. I ain't tripping on them. I'd rather deal with a person who has a gender identification issue, who's homosexual, than a heterosexual person who's a slime ball. And I know a lot of good gay and trans people. So, and that's because I learned that tolerance right there with Miss Ann. That's probably like one of my first real experiences at dealing with being tolerant of other people. I credit that experience for that. Because throughout the years, looking past that type of mentality that I was raised on, got me far. It opened up doors. It made people come to other people and say, hey, your homeboy, I think he know I'm gay, but he don't treat me no different. And when I come through, he still give me a fat weed sack or whatever I was doing at the time, He still give me a good deal. People come through selling me laptops or whatever. I sell a laptop back to somebody for extra 20, 30, 40 bucks, but I ain't going to tax you, hit you over the head just because you're different. Of course, that I still kind of messed with me a little bit because I was like, damn, even if you identify as that, why would you botch your body? But that was my business. You know what I mean? Because anybody that really remember Miss Ann, the surgery, I guess because that was probably when surgeries weren't so popular, the surgery didn't really sit well, and it was obvious that it was like a Botox type of face. Real prominent and strong, high protruding cheekbones. Hips looked over exaggerated and all that. So it did something to me, right? Like I said, changed me. But after I got over that initial trauma of that culture shock and I got to the core of that person and understood, okay, you're still a decent individual. I don't agree with your lifestyle. I don't agree with it, but I ain't against you and your choices. So it's just not for me, and it's just not how I swing. But that there in itself, tolerance of differences and focusing on what you have more in common with a person as opposed to those differences can and will open doors for you and relationships for you and ways of thinking for you that will benefit you perpetually. I'm a living proof of that. I'm a living testament of that. Without compromising what you believe in, without feeding into somebody else's lifestyle choices, right? You can still be yourself amongst a room of people who are totally different from you. Be assertive in that environment, gain in that environment, and add value in that environment. That's a fact. That's a fact, a major fact. As always, man, that's just my spiel for today. Don't forget to hit that like button. Don't Don't forget to hit that bell notification so you can always get up on what I got coming next. Don't forget to subscribe, to share the content, to comment in the comment section, to get involved with me so we can build more of these conversations and we can really get to the meat of it. I don't know if you got somebody that might even want to hop on and get an interview done. I got a lot of interviews I got in the bag already. I'm going to drop on y'all, but some of these people ain't ready and they want to get their, let's say you got people that want to promote certain things, right? They got merchandise, they got music. They want to get that stuff ready first, and then we going to do their interviews. I'm like, bro, let's drop it while it's hot. You know what I'm saying? But you know how I go. I got to wait for people their own time and be tolerant, right? So O_G_Kenny, OG Kenny. Another edition, another episode, installment of the Retired from the Streets podcast. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Y'all enjoy this good old chilly weather. And pray for better days. Peace, blessings, loved ones.